Hello guys. It has been a minute since I've come on here, sat in front of this camera, and filmed a YouTube video. I feel like for quite some time I've come on here and I've been saying I gotta make time and I have to be more consistent, and if I really want this thing to grow I have to put more effort into it, and it didn't happen until recently. I'm very excited and I'm hyped because I freed up a good amount of my schedule and I'm really excited to be consistent with content again and just kind of see what can happen with this channel and how much it can grow. So I'm back. And I figured for the first video after a few months, we would do a good old-fashioned Q&A. You guys know I love doing these videos. I put a Q&A box on my Instagram a few weeks ago. I got some really good questions. We're just gonna chat about what's been going on lately, and we have a lot to chat about Jiu Jitsu. I received really great questions about Jiu Jitsu, so let's get chatting. All right, so let's get into the first question. Where are my screenshots? Okay, I feel like this is a good first question to get the ball rolling. How's the training post-injury? Do you feel back 100%? So, fun fact, I hit 1 year post-op about a month ago. What's today's date? 1 month ago, the 26th of September, I hit 1 year post-op, which is crazy. Like, where does time go? I will never know. And if you guys watch a few videos back, I posted about over the summer, kind of like around May and June, I tried to start training jiu-jitsu again. Actually, I tried for the first time around 6 months post-op. So that was back in March. And I just wanted to move around and see how it felt. And I felt pretty good. And then around May, June, I actually started going to classes at my school. And I tried for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks and I felt pretty good, but I was so scared. I was so scared and I was really timid. It just didn't feel right. So I actually then took the whole summer off. The week before I hit 1 year, I just started kind of getting the itch again to try training. I was like, all right, maybe that's my body kind of telling me that it's ready. I trained with Todd, my husband, for the first time. It was like a 180. I felt so different. My body felt really good. It was just such a difference from a few months ago. It was incredible. So the week that I actually saw my surgeon for my 1 year post-op little checkup was actually the week that I went back to training. So I've been consistently training now for 4 weeks. I train about 3 times a week depending on what I have going on, and I'm still doing my strength training a few times a week. So I'm just being careful and taking it day by day, but I feel pretty darn good when I'm training. I'm being very selective with the people that I roll with. I'm only rolling with people that I feel comfortable with, that I've known for a few years, that I've rolled with for years now, and just people that I feel safe with. With that being said, I'm also aware that it's not my training partner's full responsibility to keep me safe. So I'm learning how my body feels in certain positions in a roll, and it's a long learning process, and I'm kind of mentally battling with coming back to training. There's a lot in my girl brain going on right now, but I'm learning what I don't quite feel comfortable with, and I'm learning what I do feel comfortable with, and where I can speed things up, where I can be a little bit more aggressive. And then in other positions, I do hold back, and maybe I'm a little bit more laid back and defensive, and that's okay. I'm keeping myself safe, and in those kinds of situations, I'll be more defensive and maybe work on not getting mounted or not getting submitted, and practicing that after, well, anyone is great, but especially after a year off. I'm just still trying to figure out the movements and moving my body in all of these crazy positions that we get into with jiu-jitsu, and figuring out where I can be a little bit more flexible, where I can be a little bit more explosive, where I can be more aggressive, and other places where I just have to be a little bit more timid, just keeping my body safe. Because at the end of the day, it's great to have these amazing training partners that I feel comfortable with, but it's on me to keep myself safe, you know? Do I appreciate it if my training partners don't twist me in all different directions and they're not doing leg locks and all this kind of crazy stuff that will potentially compromise my leg? Yes, but I'm responsible for knowing where my body is, knowing where I'm positioned, and keeping myself safe. Anyway, that was a really long answer, but that is how training is going so far. Long story short, training is going really, really well. There are moments where, like last night, I felt like I couldn't do anything because my guard right now is not super great because back in my day, had a very pretty bendy guard, and that's where I felt really strong and really comfortable was playing guard. And right now, in a lot of different open guard positions, I feel a little bit unsafe and a little bit compromised. So right now, I'm getting smashed a lot, and in those moments where people are just smashing me and passing my guard, and I'm like, man, I can't do anything, and I feel like a white belt again. And I think about, just in those intense moments, I'm like, man, I am not the same as I was before this all happened. And then I'll get down on myself. That's what I was kind of referring to, where it's like kind of this mental battle now because I'm back into training. I'm back in the mix, but there's still a lot that I have to work through physically and then mentally. I mean, it's all part of the process, I suppose, coming back from a major injury like that. So given the circumstance, it's going great, and it is a blessing to even be back into training after thinking about where I was a year ago. It's truly, truly amazing. So I'm just going to keep pushing through, and I'm just going to keep showing up. And before I know it, I'll be on my way back to where I was. Next question, any narrated roles on the horizon? Yes. What I have to do now that I'm going to be putting a lot more effort and time into YouTube, I have to really sit down and take the time and plan out my content. I've always just filmed everything on a whim. And now that I really want to take this a little bit more seriously, I have to plan it out. So that's definitely something that I want to be in the mix. I love doing the narrated rolling videos. I love showing you guys things in real time, and especially now coming back from the injury, kind of what I'm thinking as I'm getting back into rolling. So yes, I don't exactly know when, but yes. Best tips for recovery post jiu-jitsu training. Yes. I have to go get something that I have been obsessed with. I cannot wait to show you. This person, you've probably seen it on my Instagram because I can't stop talking about it, but let me go get it. All right. So this is an acupressure mat, and the brand is ProSource Fit. My husband just purchased it on Amazon. It was literally like $20. I always laugh at him because with his training business, he always comes home with these I call them his little toys. This stuff, different kinds of balls and Theracanes and pipes and all this stuff to get his muscles feeling better and to help all of his clients. So anyway, this was one of his little purchases that he made, and I had heard of it before but never really thought about it. And then I was like, let me give it a try. Instant relief, okay? It doesn't feel great. You can maybe kind of see there's all these little spikes in there. They're plastic. You lay on it, ideally bare skin. The idea behind it is that it brings blood flow and circulation to trigger points and areas that aren't feeling so hot. For me, it took a little getting used to, but I love it and I use it almost daily. I will lay my whole back on this, and then this is meant to be for your neck, but what I actually use this for is my hamstring. So the area where I had surgery is kind of a tough area. It's right in the gluteal fold, so right in the fold of where your butt and hamstrings meet. So it's kind of a weird, tough area to get to with any kind of lacrosse ball or even the flat part of the mat. So the other day, I was like, wait, this should work. And this fits right into that area perfectly. So I put that on my hamstrings, and I feel lighter after. And then when I put it on my whole back, because my lower back gets stiff, and now training jiu-jitsu, my traps and my upper back, they get stiff, and this is just instant relief. My whole body feels like it has less pressure. I feel lighter. I feel like I can move a little bit better. So this has been my favorite thing recently for recovery, whether that's through now jiu-jitsu or strength training. I love it. I cannot I cannot say good enough things about it. $20 on Amazon. What do you like to do as a hobby besides jiu-jitsu and working out? I was just talking to my husband about this recently. I feel like with Jiu Jitsu, it definitely started off as a hobby, right? Like it was something new to do. It's just now, after being in the community for 7 years, it's, I think, more than just a hobby. Like it's become so intertwined within my life that it's almost kind of like this committed hobby, right? Like I ideally will never stop and I have to be committed to it in order to keep going. So it's not just this like lackadaisy hobby anymore, you know? Like it is in my life, and my life at times sort of revolves around it. And especially once you start making money from it, right? Like I still work at my gym. It's not like a huge source of income for me, but it is. And then my husband, he runs a jiu-jitsu school. So it's a hobby, but it's also sort of this way of life for us. So I'm like, what else do I like to do? You know, like what's another hobby? So I said to him, I was like, we need to start doing other things, you know, because we like to travel together, we like to be outside, and we like to go hiking, and you know, we like to be in nature, but now it's getting cold out too. So what else can we do together? We were just talking about this. So one thing that I really want to try, and we're going to try next weekend, is we're going to go rock climbing. Now that my body is better, I'm healing, I'm feeling pretty strong, I kind of want to see like what else can my body do other than lifting weights and doing jiu-jitsu. I also like to bake bread. I got really into sourdough bread a few months ago, like towards the beginning of the summer, and I created a starter from scratch. I got that working, and I'm obsessed with baking bread now, and I want to start doing all different kinds of flavors, and I want to get really artsy with it. I'm a makeup artist, so I'm, you know, that creativity part of my brain just like lights up when I can start working with my hands. I love baking bread. So I guess that's a hobby. And then this is the perfect question, since I was just talking about the sourdough. Somebody asked, how do you make your sourdough bread starter? It's really easy, and it seems much more complicated than it actually is. I mean, at points it can be kind of complicated, especially when things go wrong, but the ingredients are really easy. Half a cup of filtered water, half a cup of ideally organic all-purpose flour. I use King Arthur. You mix the two together in a mason jar with some kind of either silicone or, you know, wooden spoon or spatula, and you just keep doing that. You do it every day. For me, my starter took 3 weeks to activate. So every day you feed it, which essentially is adding more flour and more water. You take out half every day. There is such thing as sourdough discard, which is the flour and water that's not activated. But when I was first getting my starter going before it was active, I just threw out the half that I was taking out. Now I will use it to bake with pancakes, muffins. You can make crackers and pizza dough and all types of stuff that doesn't need to rise. When I was first making it, I would every morning or every night, whatever I did, I would scoop out half, and then I would put in half a cup of all-purpose flour, half a cup of filtered water, stir it around, let it sit for 24 hours, and then 3 weeks later, it was bubbly. It would start to double in size, and that's how you know that your starter is active and ready to bake with. There is so much information on Instagram and TikTok. I talk a lot about my sourdough on TikTok. I love TikTok. I love TikTok. I am over there often. Very often. So if you kind of want to see more like day in the life vlogs, sourdough stuff, anything with my profession as a makeup artist, a lot of that is on TikTok. But I do have a lot of videos talking about my starter and how to make bread and the step-by-step process. So I will put my TikTok account in the description box and you can follow me on there. Next question, how to get more confident rolling. I'm really new and get nervous to ask people because I'm 1, a bit rubbish, and 2, I know it's silly, but I get embarrassed. That is totally 100% normal. I would say it gets easier the more you do it, and I think the more people that you roll with and kind of the more friends you make and the better that you get when you become a little bit more confident in your skills. You just become more confident knowing like, okay, I can kind of roll with anyone in the room, and you know what, you know, you can bring to the table. And just the more skills that you have, the more you train, I guess what I'm trying to say is just keep showing up, keep rolling with people, do it even though it makes you feel uncomfortable. Jiu-jitsu as a whole is so uncomfortable. The whole experience is uncomfortable. So asking people to roll is just another part of this uncomfortable time that we're having on the mat. So just keep in mind that the more rolls you get, the more training you get, the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you put yourself in those brief moments of discomfort, it's going to be better for you in the long run. And then also just keep in mind, everyone started somewhere. Even though you're new right now and, maybe you're not the greatest, I mean, who is? Even people that are advanced, like there's always room to learn, and everybody started off as a beginner. Everyone walked into the academy for the first time and I had no idea what they were doing. Ideally, the people in the room remember that as well and will be open to helping you throughout the role and giving you a chance to train because everybody was in your shoes at one point. So just keep that in mind that you are not the only beginner in jiu-jitsu. Practical tips for improving in your jiu-jitsu white belt tier. Keep showing up. As a white belt, that is the best thing that you can do is to keep showing up consistently. If there's anything in particular, technique-wise, that you want to improve on, I'm sure you can probably always do 1 or 2 privates with your coach. That can be really helpful. Watching instructionals on YouTube can be really helpful just to keep studying and keep expanding your jiu-jitsu mind. All of that is very helpful, but the most simple piece of advice is to keep showing up consistently. And when you roll, try to get to the move of the day. That's how you're going to remember it. It's so easy, myself included, to just keep doing the same old stuff over and over again, but you really grow and you really get better. And I'm talking to myself here when you try out the new stuff that you learn. You got this. It takes time, but I promise if you keep showing up to class however many times a week that you tend to get there, keep doing it, keep training. Before you know it, you will be improving. Tips for when you're contemplating giving up. Don't. I guess we got to think about, why do you want to give up? Are you just feeling defeated? Are you feeling like you're not getting any better? Try to think about why you don't want to do it anymore, or maybe why it's not worth it to you. Jiu-jitsu is not easy. It's really, really not. And there's so many times where I wanted to give up, where I didn't want to go to class. I mean, shoot, I just came back. I'm just coming back and I'm getting smashed in every roll. And I'm telling myself, this is what I wanted. I wanted to come back so bad. And I've been working so hard to come back. This is what you wanted. I think sometimes it's just reminding yourself, why you love it, why you started in the first place. Remind yourself of all of the good things that come from jiu-jitsu. The self-defense, the exercise, the community, the growth, all the stuff that you're learning every day. There's so many benefits to it, and just think about why you started in the first place. And just like with anything in life, jiu-jitsu, it's not linear, right? It's not just you starting at white belt here, then you just keep getting better and better and everything is just gonna keep going up and up. That's not how it works. It's ebbs and flows, it's ups and downs all throughout your journey. You get better and you feel confident, and then maybe you get promoted and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve this, and now I feel like I suck. And then you come down again, and then you start getting better again, and maybe you're starting to find your game and you get more confident, or you start competing and you love it, and then you go up again, and then you're like me, and then you get injured and you're out for a really long time, and now I'm all the way down here. It's just so many things happen on the journey, and if you can just remember and keep in mind why you fell in love with it in the first place and how good it is for you, keep showing up. It will get better. And if you are in a place where you really feel burnt out, it is okay to take some time off. Maybe start with a week. See if after a week of no jiu-jitsu, you feel a little bit refreshed. If it takes longer than that, that's okay. Jiu-jitsu will always be there. Take it from me. It will always be there, and it will be ready for you when you're ready to come back. So if you're feeling burnt out and you feel like you need a little bit of a break and you need to reevaluate why you are doing this crazy sport to begin with, take some time off and come back. I'm a new white belt training 3 days per week. Is that enough, or do I need to train more? I think that's great. I think 3 days per week is a really good base. I think it's enough for you to be consistent. You know, once you start doing like 1 or 2 days, it's kind of like anything, going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym twice a week and then you're like, oh, well, I don't want to go today, so I'm just going to take another day off. It's like the less you do it, the easier it becomes to keep doing it less and less, if that makes sense. So I think 3 days is really good to keep that consistency. And I think 3 days is really good for your body to get used to it, because when you first start, it definitely takes some getting used to for your body when you're getting beat up and squished and pulled in all different directions. And I think for your mind too, to remember the techniques, to remember the movements, 3 days a week is a really great place to be at. This is a good one. Best advice for imposter syndrome. I received my blue belt in June, but keep questioning if I truly deserve it. I think everybody who gets promoted feels this way. At purple belt, I have felt that way the whole time, and this December it will be crazy. It's going to be 4 years since I've gotten my purple belt. It's been so hard to grow into my belt. For me, I think it was difficult because I received my purple belt under my old coach and at my old school, and it was just a very different school. My academy now is a lot more intense. The training is amazing. There are so many tough bodies in the room. So when I went from my old school to this school, I was like, oh my gosh, am I a purple belt? Like, do I really deserve this? So it's totally normal. And I would say keep in mind that if your coach promoted you and felt like you deserve the next rank, then you do. It's normal to feel like you don't deserve it. It's normal to feel like you're not good enough. It's normal to maybe even go out there and compete and you lose a lot because you're at this new rank. Each rank, it just gets tougher and tougher. Like, you would think jiu-jitsu gets easier the better that you get, but all of your training partners keep getting better and all of your competition keeps getting better, and it just gets tougher and tougher. So it's normal to feel like, you don't deserve this next rank. But I think the easiest thing to just constantly remind yourself is, if your coach promoted you, if your coach felt like you deserved it, they watch you every day when you train, then you deserve it. And be content with the simplicity of that. And now just all you're responsible for is working your butt off to grow into that belt. This will be the last one, so it's kind of a longer question. Best advice for someone who wants to keep their jiu-jitsu skills but can't make it to class. I just had a baby and the time and financial commitments are keeping me from returning. In this season, I plan on going back, but how can I keep my skills in the meantime? I am still doing martial arts. Shotokan, it's closer and cheaper, but jiu-jitsu has to be put aside. That's a tough one. I mean, you can watch instructionals, you can watch competition videos, you can maybe get a dummy and work on some movements that are safe while you're pregnant. But to be totally honest, it's hard to keep those skills really sharp when you're not training every day, and that's nothing negative towards your situation. It's just, it kind of is what it is. And if anybody on here maybe has some more helpful tips than that, please leave a comment below and help us all out. But I will say this, that jiu-jitsu, now from my experience, jiu-jitsu is kind of like riding a bike. When you've been out for a while, and I think if you've been training long enough, when you go back, your body remembers. Once you get acclimated to the movements again, your body and your brain, it doesn't forget. So I think there is hope in your situation, that even though you're taking some time off now, when the day comes and you do go back to training, you'll probably feel a little bit awkward at first and you gotta take some time to get used to it again. But before you know it, you'll be back feeling like, your old self. But for the time being, I would say if you can watch some, there's a ton of free instructionals on YouTube. There's tons of different channels. If you have the means to actually purchase an instructional from maybe a black belt that you really admire, take some time and dive into that knowledge. There's definitely ways to mentally learn and gain jiu-jitsu knowledge when you can't be on the mat. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed these Q&As. I felt like I received a lot of really good questions the other day. So thank you everybody who sent in your questions. I hope my answers were helpful. So yeah, I'm really happy to be back on YouTube in Jiu Jitsu. I'm excited to make more Jiu Jitsu videos again. So if there's anything, like always, specific that you want to see on this channel, then please leave a comment. You can DM me on Instagram. So yeah, we're back, baby, in all different aspects, and I'm really excited. So until the next video, I will see you guys next time.